catching a wider range of people, but it's still them seeing. It's me on my phone seeing that ad. It's me on my phone seeing that Google, first page. It's me seeing that, cold email. And yeah, while you could send it to 100,000 people, it's still one person looking at it. When you add merchandise, and, I wear this hoodie. I wore it out to go get lunch, earlier today. And this is a hoodie we made for McLaren. People saw it. Everybody that was there saw it. And if I'm in the background of somebody's photo that they're taking with their baby or whatever.
Welcome to Beyond the Swag. Merch is Media, the podcast where we go beyond logos, giveaways, and leftover budgets and talk about how branded merchandise actually functions as marketing, media, and brand experience. On this show, we sit down with founders, operators, and brand leaders to unpack the real decisions behind the brands you see. What works, what doesn't, and how the details people overlook often make the biggest impact. I'm your host, Kevin Patrick. This is Beyond the Swag.
Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Swag podcast. I'm excited about today's conversation because today's conversation is different. I'm joined by Icare Duplessy from Travel Growth AI, and we're diving into a powerful idea. Everything is a signal. A website visit, booked call, a conversation, and yes, you guessed it, a piece of merchandise. And so today we're going to be talking about sales automation, AI, and how physical branded touchpoints fit into a world that is becoming increasingly digital. If you've ever wondered how to stop guessing in marketing and start orchestrating, this one's for you. Icare, thank you so much for joining the show.
Oh, thank you very much, Kevin, for having us. Like maybe to do a couple of things about me. I didn't start, in the promotional product space directly. I spent most of my time working on our business actually grow, and more specifically where they get it wrong. What I kept seeing is that most companies don't fail because lack of effort, right? They fail because they're making decisions without really reading what the market is telling them. So what we do at Travel Growth AI is pretty simple in practice. We look at where demand already exists, who already has distribution, and we help our client plug into that instead of trying to force growth. Right? That can mean working with tour operators, hotel, or experience, or help them, get in front of the right audience, true partner that has already have intention, or fixing all the offer show, or actually convert what got there. And where merch fits into that is very real because physical products are one of the way that distribution actually happen, right?
Yeah.
So if the right person is wearing it, using it, or sharing it, that's exposure, positioning, and trust happening at the same time, not just branding. So for us, merch isn't a separate category. It's one of the tools that helps move the offers through the market in a more natural way.
Awesome. No, I appreciate it. Appreciate the quick little background. And, you put it on the form, and I want to get right into this because we got a lot I want to get to and talk about it and learn from you, that everything is a signal, right? But most companies just don't know how to read it. What do you mean by that? Can you dive into that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. What can I say about that is really simple. Like, some people they'll say, oh, we'll do ads, we run ads, we do SEO, we do, trade show. Well, they interpret that as actions, right? And in fact, if you look at that from a system view, everything in there is a signal, right? So merch comes in there too, right? It's all signals, and when they all orchestrate, and all these signals can create a lot of noise, right? Create noise. But if it's orchestrated in a meaningful way, all these signals become one big wave, if you want, one big signal, one big wave that can be it becomes like a laser. Like the best example I can say about that is light, you know. Light is made, like visible light is made, we see white light, but if you look at it, it's not white. It's made up of multiple signal, which we call red, which we call green, which we call, you know, this wave, the frequency. So signal is frequency. And then creates white light for us to see. But on the other end, if you orchestrate all this light, then that becomes a laser. And with a laser becomes a tool. So sales becomes tools in order for you to orchestrate growth. That's what basically what I think. And
Absolutely.
if you look it, if you link it to merch, merch is the signal that everyone sees, like everyone's interact with it, and it goes way more further than what people think. A business card, right? A business card is still merch, right? If you think about that,
Yeah,
right?
it's promotional products. Absolutely.
It's a merch, right? And what people do lately, I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen people do video business card. Wow, beautiful, right? And well, that's expensive, right? That's kind of an expensive video business card. Less expensive than it was 20 years ago, but still, it's on the high end. Well, I see people turn business cards into butterflies. Well, talk about a signal, right? And that is something that I think is really beautiful because it draws attention, but also drives conversion in my sense.
Yeah. No, and it's part of the experience. You know,
Yeah.
digital marketing is one of those things where you're really catching that one person. Yes, you might have, you know, you're catching a wider range of people, but it's still them seeing. It's me on my phone seeing that ad. It's me on my phone seeing that Google, you know, first page. It's me seeing that, you know, cold email. And yeah, while you could send it to 100,000 people, it's still one person looking at it. When you add merchandise, and, you know, I wear this hoodie. I wore it out to go get lunch, you know, earlier today. You know, this is a hoodie we made for McLaren. People saw it. Everybody that was there saw it. And if I'm in the background of somebody's photo that they're taking with their baby or whatever, I'm in the photo. Now, when they post it on social media, you know, they see my ugly mutt in the background wearing this McLaren hoodie, but it's there, like, and it can be seen across anything else. And it might not be the right target audience for McLaren, but it's still promoting their brand. I want to talk about signals and marketing, and what are some from what you guys see on a daily basis? What are some examples of signals companies are completely overlooking right now?
Oh my God, there's so much of it, but one of them, and okay, so let me frame this let me start with merch because I think merch is one of the things that people like oh, we're going to a trade show, we're going to do some merch. That's basically where it stops most of the time, right? We're going to a trade show, so we need merch. Okay, that's where it stops. Merch for us is one of the signal, but like, and I'll link that to digital marketing with QR codes and everything. So
Yep.
merch is not a product, it's a signal carrier. You know, when someone, like you say, wears it, keep it, share it, they broadcast identity, they signal movement, create value, right? So one of the things, I like, for example, people, they'll say, oh, we know we're broadcasting, because advertising is basically broadcasting, like you say, to a number of people, throwing things at the wall. Some of them will look at us, and some of them will enter our conversion funnel, kind of, right? Well, here's the thing about that: the signal that they forgot to 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 look at basically is, when people are posting. I'm posting about my cat, for example, because let's say I love cat. Okay, I'm posting about cats. Oh, I love my cat. Here's my cat, eating. Well, you'll never see any company say, oh my God, we should listen to people that post about cats, right? And then when they post, we should actually send them an ad, not any regular ad, an ad UGC, right? By another user that says, oh, my cat, by the way, love that type of food. There you go. Best conversion ever, right? Best. This is overlooked. This is what we call signal site, right? This is what we call intent. People are lately they are more on, oh, I'm going to brand myself, I'm going to look big, I'm going to look luxury. Well, that's not a signal. That's an identity, right? And identity, when you broadcast identity, that signals a move, and movement create value. So that's really what I think people are overlooking right now in advertising and digital
Yeah.
marketing. And I like to say digital marketing doesn't really exist. It's marketing in the digital world, basically.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things is businesses have a hard time understanding marketing versus branding. And you know, they go hand in hand, and really branding, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, and I'm sure people have plenty of opinions, especially if you ask marketers and you ask, branding experts, I'm sure they'll, throw shade at me, but branding is more important. Marketing helps showcase our brand and get our brand out there to people, whether it's digital, whether it is physical. But at the end of the day, you're building a brand and how you are the best at what you do, whether it's a service, whether it's a product, whatever that may be. And I see a lot of companies, they struggle with that. They try to, we posted a thing obviously on the merch side of things that there's three tiers of promotion products. You have the awareness, which is your wide spectrum. You have your relationship, which is kind of where the sales happen, and then you have the loyalty. I was going to say tier three, the loyalty. And awareness is the biggest, and loyalty is the smallest. And a lot of people jump right to loyalty. Oh, we need to get these people to be loyal, but they don't. Like those people don't even know who you are. And so you need to build and develop that brand. It drives me nuts. And luckily, we're at a position now with the company where we can kind of turn these people away that don't really care about their brand,
Mm-hmm.
and they come to us wanting, marketing, or they want good, high end goods. I'm like, dude, who are you? You don't even know what your logo looks like. You don't even know who your company is. And look, they might be a great business, but if you're not taking your brand seriously, your marketing is then just a waste of money.
You're absolutely right, Kevin. You're so right about that. Like the brand is the biggest signal of all. If you
Yeah.
can say that's the biggest signal of all, because it signals to who it signals resonance, right? We're talking about signal resonance, magnetic. So resonance create magnetic. So attracts exactly the same kind, right? So, and let's take the example. I think McLaren, which is you're talking about McLaren, the cars, right?
Yep.
Yes, right, the
Yep.
cars. So these are, high-end cars, luxury. Well, it was not luxury for sure, but more in a high top performance, right? So anyone that love that kind of a high performance car, these cars that go fast, anyone will be attracted to these cars. And also, one of the things we like to say in our world of marketing, like the guy that step in a Rolls Royce in a McLaren dealership, right? The first thing he will ask will not be what's the price. He's already in. He's not gonna ask the price there, right? So if he's asking the price, obviously he's not at the right place. First thing he's gonna ask is, you know what? I was thinking, can you engrave my name in all the doors? So that's that type
Yep.
of branding, create that type of engagement, that type of uniqueness, I think.
Yeah, and I'm glad you say it, because when people come to work with us at KP Innovations, our main company, above Beyond the Swag, the podcast, that's the first thing we say to people, right? It's not, hey, what do you want? What product do you want? No, it's never the first question we ask. It's, what event you doing? Who is the audience? What's the target? Like, what is the purpose? What is the problem you're trying to solve here? Is it employee retention? Is it employee anniversary, client anniversary? Is it new hire onboarding? Like, what is that intent? What is that purpose that you're looking for? Because I can throw a catalog at you and have 1.4 million products, and here you go. But that's the problem with this industry. It's a lot of
Yes.
just, here's a catalog, pick a product. because people on our side of things, they just care about, hey, what do you need? Here it is. Here's your logo. Slap it on it. Move on. I got my sale. I made my profit, and move on. and it drives me nuts. That's why I started this podcast, was, seeing this stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is, it's driving me insane. But I had no intentions, even though I was wearing this hoodie, to talk about McLaren. But one thing that our local dealership does here in Philadelphia, they do a phenomenal job, right? Everything obviously that we make, or they buy from corporate, or whatever the case is, like, has to represent the McLaren brand. They're selling hundreds of $1,000 cars, $1 million cars, but they also do a very good job with their local audience. The people that, I say it all the time, they're never going to afford a McLaren. But they love the car. They show up to all the events to come see the cool, sick sports, high-end luxury cars, and they buy merch because it's the closest thing they're going to get to owning that car.
Yeah.
And not like, and that is like building awareness, building relationships, the loyalty aspect. That's for your car owners. But even then, like when they buy a $400,000 car, they don't want to be handed a Gildan T-shirt. They want to be handed something that feels like they just bought a $400,000 car.
Yeah, they won't be.
But they do a very good job at the people that are local. People like myself. Not yet. I will one day be able to afford a McLaren. But right now I can't.
Yeah.
I try to just take test drives when I go drop stuff off. But they focus on being able to create things for their fans. Another example is the Savannah Bananas. I'll say it, Jesse Cole, don't hate me for this, the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. He hates that, and I'm sorry to reference it, but for people that don't know, it's the easiest reference. They sell millions of dollars of merchandise because they built fans. And it's not about how much of something. And this is going to lead me into my next topic here, based off of something you had said before. It's not about volume, right? And whether it's creating products, whether it's creating digital, whether it's creating ads, content, etc. You mentioned winners aren't the ones creating the most content or spending the most money. What separates the true winners? Because I know on the merchandise side, it's not about, creating the most. It's not about buying $505 t-shirts. It might be about buying $50 t-shirts or $50 polos.
You know what? That's funny because I had that conversation like a couple of days ago, and I'm gonna the Where's Charlie, that the T-shirt, the whole brand of Where's Charlie, they find Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
These these people, like, technically we don't really, like, what do they sell really? Nobody really knows, right? What do they sell? The T-shirt Where's Charlie, we all saw that. We saw the cards, we saw these type of find Charlie in the picture, but these T-shirts are one of the most sold T-shirt ever in the world. And are they a winner? Well, nobody really know what they sell. Like, ask anyone, the company, like, ask anyone even the name of the company that create this. Nobody knows their name. But it's impossible that you go into a family that at least one has that T-shirt or something, or even the some merch about Where's Charlie, right? So that's what creates a winner, is that kind of virality. I'd say it's an adoption that goes beyond. It becomes really psychology. And what we learned about the people that create that, one of the creator of that was a guy that was really, really into psychometry. Right? He was really into psychometry, and he realized that the people that are buying that type of T-shirt are these type of, like, he did like a big study and says, or say, oh, you know what? 40% of the world have these psychometric B, for say, right? So let's create something that appeals to them. And you know who they are, these people? Analytical people. That surprised me a lot because you'd say, no, that's a funny joke. No, the analytical people, they will call in the DIS 2.0, we'll say blue people. They're blue people that kind of have a sense of humor for themselves. Blue people, they are all about data and all about, they're not about chit-chatting. They're not about relationship. But most of the people that have, let's say, this merch are blue people. So that's what they realize, kind of. So yeah,
Yeah.
winners are kind of the real, what separates a winner from not a winner, I guess, is someone that does their own work and say, hey, you know what? Let's not expose noise because they could have done any type of sheet of t-shirts or any type of merch, but let's actually analyze who the people are and let's bring that signal into resonance. It's going to create a magnetic effect. People are going to be attracted to that without really knowing why also. Because it
No,
goes
I
deep
mean
into psych.
it's about having the filters, right, and the
Yeah.
precision and the decision based, off of data and off of your research and understanding your market and who you're going after. I had on a previous episode we talked with, somebody who used to work for Nike, and you know, you're creating a clothing brand, you're creating, a piece of clothing. People don't think about this, but like they build these collections based off of different areas. People here in the Northeast, of the United States don't wear the same stuff as people in California. We don't. They're two different climates, they're two different cultures, they're two different fashion statements. The people in Northeast and in California don't wear the same stuff as people in Florida. Like it's just different. So understanding who you are, who you're going after, who your target is, and it's not about push out as much content, because if it's terrible content, people don't care about it. They're not going to read it, and then you just start to I've gotten so much like stuff that I've actually unfollowed people because I'm like, this stuff's garbage, and they're just throwing out a bunch of garbage, and it's kind of pissing me off. Like it keeps popping up on my screen, and it's not good. Like, and I've unfollowed people. Like, and and again, they could be a great business, but it's about doing creative things. I mean, this is kind of off a little topic a little bit, but like I'm going to be a little bit vague here. There was a professional athlete who just got into some driving issues over the course of the last few days. Owns a clothing brand. The mugshot, the polo worn in that mugshot, has completely sold out for the clothing brand. Like,
I understand what you're
like
saying. I understand what you're saying.
it
Yeah.
had completely sold out. Everybody wanted a piece of it because of who he is. But it's also like that scarcity, that limited edition, like those things carry weight that people like. They rush to get it. They rush to get stuff because there's not a lot of it. And you got to tie that into content too. Like value content is way better than mass content.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, and also when we say mass content, most of the time people like they say, oh, let's say Coca-Cola, I don't know, or Pepsi, whatever, any, like consumer brand that is widely distributed, right? Even these guys, they know that there's some part of the world, like even these guys have a specific buyer persona, I feel, right? We think they are there. There's no like the only one that will never win, I guess, is the one that say, oh, let me just like you ask them who's your product for? Oh, that's for everyone. Well, red flag there, straight there,
I've
because
been there. I used to own a golf apparel company. We knew nothing about clothing brands at the time. We just wanted to make golf shirts. We wanted to play golf, and we wanted to have our own clothing line. And we did. We're like, oh, everybody in the United States loves this exact one blend polo that we made, and the designs that well, no, it's not. And we learned the hard way. Like we learned the hard way, and I'm glad I did. Because now I can help actual, brands that we work with have those things. You deal with a lot of digital. So I want to ask you, can physical merchandise act as a signal in the same way digital behavior does? And because in digital, we're always tracking data, who keeps it, who wears it, or who sees it. But I'm gonna phrase this in physical. Who keeps it, who wears it, who posts about it, who gives feedback, who requests more. And digital has that same aspect. Can physical merchandise act as the same signal?
Actually, yes. And well, is this something that maybe back in the days it was done differently, but you'll see what I'm going with that. You know, most people use business card, right? I have a business card, I'll give you a business card. But you know what people use today? NFC cards. NFC. So it's basically, and I have an example here. I'm just gonna hide the brand. Okay, I have an example here. Okay. Basically, you tap this, and everything goes into your phone, right? Everything goes into your phone. Every contact goes, and you just tap this on the back of the phone. There you go, save. That's it. That's all. So yes, and you know what's included that's also in there? Everyone that has tapped that, he also has a database of that. Yes. So yes, and now I show you that, right? But now imagine in the same way, it could be a T-shirt, it could be a cap, it could be now here. This is the limit goes endless. Also, the new bridge called Phygital, right? The new bridge called Phygital. So when you open that world, uh, it's even better than digital. Oh, it's even better than digital because now you have something in the real world that you can actually track, right? People they wear it. Let's say a T-shirt that has a QR code on it that that says
Or an
scan that
NFC
code,
on
and if you scan that code, you've just been hacked. That's a joke, okay? People are at it's funny, but in that code, that NFC chip with geofencing, following that person everywhere, and they know. I mean, it's not something that's hidden. It's not scarce tactics. They know that they're being tracked. But you know what? Every time, let's say they go, I don't know, to certain store, they accumulate points. So yeah, that bridge or that line has been crossed, and now the possibilities are endless, are totally
yeah.
endless.
And we've done that with people. We've done some NFC and geofencing on apparel, and there's people always say, well, there's no way to track it. Well, there is. We've done QR codes. We did a golf polo for a golf outing for Ronald McDonald House, and in the size tag was a QR code that they generated. And what's cool about that is, because we've gotten questions on the past, like, okay, well, it's one QR code. Well, yeah, but they can edit that as often as they want. So during the golf tournament, the QR code went to a donation page.
Cool.
Hey, everybody, we're at the golf tournament. We're at the dinner at night. Hey, everybody, inside your golf polo that we gave you as our entry gift that you guys love, we know you do, there's a QR code. And, blah, 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 blah. You can donate more money because we're a charity. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, then maybe a week after the golf tournament, it's a story, for Ron McDonald House about a sick kid that, the donations or whatever the case. Or maybe it has their events, what's coming up next. Now, every time that person wears that polo, and maybe at the golf outing, if they do it right, they talk about this QR code inside and not just how it's about donation, about how we're going to keep editing. Now it keeps people on their toes. What did they change it to? What's next?
Yeah,
Where do they
what's next
go? Maybe
exactly?
have a raffle. Like have people come back to this piece of merch that they got as a gift for playing in a golf tournament. And we've done QR codes for in apparel for other things, but I loved when Ronald McDonald House did it because again, like there's so much you can do with it. All you gotta do is change where that URL code is going, and now everybody there is doing it. And that is this stuff. That's why this podcast exists. Beyond the Swag. Yes, they bought a golf polo. Yes, the polo had designs that represented the golf tournament and represented their charity. But we went further than that. We thought about anything we could possibly do to not only give them a great product to hand out, but carry something beyond just that event. That once the event's over, it's done with. You know, I don't know if I'm a big golfer. I don't know if you're a golfer, but like people spend money and businesses spend money on, the tee box signs.
Yes.
I play in a ton of golf outings a year, probably more than I should, but I don't look at any of those. And what happens when the event's over? Nobody knows that you were there.
No,
Because they
exactly.
moved on to the next golf outing or the next round or the rest of their, they moved on with life. If I were to spend $5,000 donating money to get a yard sign and maybe my name on each golf cart as the beverage sponsor or the cart sponsor, or I could spend $5,000 and get them a cool polo that they can give to everybody there that maybe has my logo on it and the event's logo, and a QR code or an NFC for geofencing and like
I like
there's
that.
so much more that people can do, but people don't think about that. They're just like, oh, we need to buy something. We have a trade show coming up. But if you do it right and you think you can get this data that's going to help your business in the long run, especially if you're like a home service based company or something. I mean, it's free marketing. It's not free, you
Exactly.
pay for it, but still, like you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, it goes a long way, and as you saying that, my neurons are firing all out direction because as you saying that, reminds me of a restaurant that did kind of the same thing. I guess it was kind of those stress balls. I'm not sure if it was a stress ball. It was something. There was a
Don't
piece
ever
of
mention the
things
word
that
stress
people could
ball.
go with, but it would represent kind of the mascot of the restaurant. And there was a QR code on that. And every week, I don't know how they did it, like actually, but like I figured it out a bit, but I'm not sure. Everyone that had that would scan that QR code, and one of them would win a free meal, right? Well, that guy said that promotion made this like he was okay. You start from okay to being really, really good. He says like, and there was lineup now at that restaurant. What? Because this type of merch goes out only I think once or twice a year. So everybody's one to have one because either okay you didn't win but you have a 10%. So that guy was a kind of or the people around him were genius, and that makes me think of what you're saying. It's really true. It's really, really, really true.
Yeah, you can run events with it. Like I said, if you said, they run, say they make 500 of them twice a year. That's 1,000 a year that get made.
Yeah, that's
If you don't
that's
get one, you want one.
exactly. Yeah, everybody
You
want one.
want it. You want to be part of that. And now, you go into year two and you create something new. And you had to use the word stress balls. Now I judge you. I hate stress balls. I absolutely hate stress balls. I don't judge you, but I hate stress balls with a burning passion. I don't know why they exist. They are the dumbest thing that businesses can spend their money on. But since you used it, we'll go with the example. But I mean, restaurants. I mean, you can. I just saw a video the other day. Guy was selling restaurant memberships, and you pay $100 a month to get 3 free drinks a day. And they got like 25,000 people pay this membership. On the first every month, they're getting $2.5 million into that. And it goes back to like golf and country clubs. Like people will spend to be part of something, but they're not going to use it every day. So, I mean, somebody's not going every single day for 30 days in a row
No.
and getting 3 free drinks. And if they are, like, they're probably not just coming for the drinks. They're probably buying food or they're buying appetizers, or they brought somebody with them that's paying. So the restaurant's really not losing money. And he's like, I don't know why more businesses don't do this. And it's because people don't think about this. They do what's normal. They try to, oh, this business is doing, this promotion. Let's try it. Well, you're copying. You're not standing out from the crowd. And I want to ask you, as kind of a follow-up question to the last one, is like, what does it mean when someone actually proudly wears your brand?
Like for us, how can I say? It bridged to the physical of this, okay? Like it bridged a bit to the physical because it's let's say somebody wears a brand, that's the signal, right? But signal is not. It's all the signal become noise, like I was saying before. So somebody wears your brand, it means that they adopt your identity, your system of value as a brand. That's basically what they represent, right? But it's more as feature plus coordination. So as they're wearing your brand, they kind of advertising for you also at the same time. But the advertising not the brand, they advertise a way of life. Oh, I wear you were saying about let's say Nike. Nike has become a something big. The brand has become bigger than they ever expected. Because now when people say, "Oh, you're wearing Nike," it's kind of has a glow of it has a glow around. Oh, he's wearing Nike. He's not, or Puma, whatever. All these brands have now a glow. So when people wear your brand, that is one of the biggest signal that you transcend. You're not just now a brand. The people are taking your brand as an identity, right?
Yeah.
And identity, usually when people are starting to take your brand as an identity, it means that your revenue are going to skyrocket also. Because
Yeah.
now, and they're all searching for that, and it's a value because like at the end of the day, any major, let's say, sport brand, I'm not going to name for example, any major sport brand, at the end of the day, they're all the same, right? It's all the same T-shirt, it's all the same sneaker, it's all the same, right? But why is that there's so much a glow of I don't know of there's a glow around certain brand. Oh my God, he's wearing that brand. Wow, and it's not even the most
It's
expensive
because
brand.
they built the brand. I still question it. I'm almost 30 years old, and I'm like, it blows my mind how professional sports do the revenue that they do, from ticket sales to food to merchandise. Like you hear, oh, so and so, this team's up for sale for 1.4 billion dollars, and you're like, one, who the heck has that type of money to buy a company? Two, like, and you look at it, and you're like, they got these players are making millions on millions on millions of like, but they built the brand. The the league built their brand and helped the other brand, the brands under them, the teams, build their brands. And I, it's funny when you were talking. Like I ironically wore this sweatshirt today, and I was dropping off other products down to McLaren, our local McLaren dealership, and I ran into one of their employees, and we were talking about this hoodie, and we did a very subtle. It's an embossed hoodie, but you can see it's tonal. It's with the hoodie, and it was funny because I talk about it all the time with Nike and Adidas and Under Armour, that people wear their brand. But if you look at their brand and their apparel and the stuff that they have, it's not screaming Nike across the chest,
No, exactly.
because not everybody wants to represent Nike. And they have it subtle little spots, whether it's small left chest, sleeve, back of the shirt. And I'm sitting in McLaren, and I'm talking to one of their employees who I've seen every time I'm in there, and he was mad about these hoodies, and he's like, dude, they're super comfortable. He's like, but I can't stand the logo doesn't stick out. And I'm like, there's a reason for that. He's like, no. He goes, if I'm going to get a hoodie, if I'm going to get something, I want it to show and I want it to be proud that I'm wearing McLaren. And I'm like, yes, because you work there. And yes, there are times where you want it to be loud and showcase who you are. But it's not just for the employees to get this. It's for the customers. It's for the fans. That somebody is going to wear this more because it's a comfortable hoodie than what is actually on the hoodie. I wear this hoodie all the time. You know, not granted they're a client of mine and I made it, but it's also because it's super comfortable. You know, and I have it on today because I was cold and it's super comfortable. And so it's creating things that people want to wear. And because I wear this, because it's comfortable and it's a nice quality, you know, product, which it should be because I made it for them, I represent them every time I wear it. And that goes for all of my clients. You know, when I go play golf and I wear one of their golf hats, you know, because it's a nice hat and it's got a golf tee holder on it that we designed, like I'm representing them everywhere. And it's, for me, yes, it's because I built these products with the clients. But when they're giving it out, you know, and it was funny hearing this from the employees, like, I wanted to scream McLaren that I work, you know. I'm like, yeah, because you work there, which is good. We need our employees to be invested in our culture and our brand because they're our biggest brand ambassadors. But we also have to take into consideration, that goes back to who are you making your product for? Who is your target? Whether it is an ad, whether it's not just for our employees. Yes, our employees probably want to scream McLaren, but our fans don't. And we're really getting these to sell, or our customers don't. They want something that says McLaren because they own a McLaren. But at the same time, it's really about the quality and having our branding on it.
I like
it was
what you're
it was a
saying.
great conversation, and the service lady, she was sitting there kind of just on the side, and she was laughing because she was watching this little debate, and I'm like, there's a reason it was designed that way.
No, I like that.
Just
I
because
like
you don't
that.
like it doesn't mean, like, you still got one. Like, it worked. You still got one because you wanted one because it was cool and you didn't want to
Yeah.
not have one. Like, it worked.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, it's true that and you're something stays with me. Like the thing you're wearing is comfortable, right? That becomes like you can tell when somebody's feeling good in their clothes, right?
Yep.
That's a big signal, right? That's an invisible signal, but that's something that everybody feels, right? And then if it was written McLaren in big, it kind of breaks the deal. But now people are kind of okay. What? Why is he feeling that? Why is that vibe is so good from Kevin, for example, right? Like, oh, not the one that's like it's not something that your mind says, but it's something that naturally comes, right? And then as you're starting to pay attention to Kevin, oh, suddenly, subtly, oh, it's McLaren. That's one of the best marketing trick ever in the world. You already.
It's a conversation starter. And we do it a bunch with golf polos. But, I mean, this hoodie is another example because the way this was designed. But golf polos, we'll take icons that represent the business, represent the company. We'll take their logo, turn it into a repeat pattern, that it looks like a professionally bought polo that you would get from any of the big companies. And then you get close to somebody and you're like, wait a minute, that's your company's stuff. And they're like, yeah. And you're like, whoa, that's really cool. And now they're looking at the design and they're talking about, like, people coming up and they're like, that's a really nice hoodie. And then they're close enough to me to realize that it's a McLaren hoodie. And they're like, oh, that's from McLaren. And, you know, for me, it's like, yeah, we made it for them. You know, like, but the polos, oh, look at that. Like, we just did a polo for a company in Miami and it had the Florida outline. And they were a roofing and windows and siding company. And it had a door on it and a roof, you know, icon on it and some windows and a door. And it told their story. Now, when they're wearing it, sure, it has their logo on the left chest on top of it, right? But people start seeing it. Now you're close and you're like, oh, look at this, look at that, look at this. And now we're having this conversation about a polo. But it's like, oh, yeah, we do doors. Oh, yeah, we do windows. Oh, yeah, we do gutters. Oh, yeah, we do
Yeah.
this. You know, and it carries that signal of who we are. And we're proud to wear it because it's something cool and unique. And I want to dive in to timing. You said that companies that win act at the right moment.
Well,
How do you define the right moment?
right moment. Uh, right moment.
Putting you on the
Let's
spot
go
here,
back to
but
merch. Let's go back to merch, and I have like a bridge about that. The right timing is motion, right? Basically, motion, right? So when merch is in motion, uh, when it's tied to attention in real time, it becomes a moment, right? Not inventory. That's my best quote about it. Because the right time, like, and I can anchor actually in what you were saying before. You know, that what you were saying before is the oldest system in the world, right? Which they call IDA, right? Attention, interest, desire, action, right? And you just what you were saying. People are, well, let me get your attention. What they get interest? What's that? T-shirt. Like, oh, it's nice, like they kind of, is this Nike? What is it? Like they ask, and then the interest become a desire of, I like, let me, I have the desire to know more about what you're doing because I'm, for such reason, I'm attracted to your vibe or to your T-shirt or to your merch, and then that desire will turn into action. So the right timing is basically that sequence. The timing has to do with sequence, right? So,
yeah,
and as you were saying before, I'm anchoring to what you were saying before. People like they forget about that awareness, track, that conversion funnel, which basically is the oldest system in the world, the IDA system: attention, interest, desire, action. All humans are based on the same. So the right timing for most company is when they decide that they're gonna follow that exact sequence, and that they're gonna everything that they'll do will follow that sequence. Like they are most of the time they say, oh no, we want to go straight to the desire or to the action, buying my product. But in order to buy your product, they have to move to a specific, and also if it's too obvious, it's a bait. People get out of the bait, right? And so right timing is really that's what I think.
yeah. And I think coming into like trigger events,
Hmm.
right, and milestones, and just intent. Like I was talking to a plumbing company the other day, and they just onboarded with us. We're thinking about different ways to, utilize promotional products in their company. And I said, okay, well, let me ask you this: when someone calls a plumbing company, typically it's some sort of emergency. So now, going back to what you said, it's tying into an emotion. Somebody hires a lawyer. Typically, something went wrong in their life. It's not something good, right? We don't just hire lawyers to hire lawyers. And so I was talking to the plumbing company. And I said, okay, well, what are a majority of your things? Majority of them are responses to things. Some of them are, we need to put on a new toilet. Well, again, it's an emotion. Their toilet broke. Their toilet clogged. Their toilet, stopped working, or whatever the case may be. So it's this emotion. A roof. A roof's leaking. Well, it needs to be fixed. It's an emotional attachment. And so, what can we do post job for our client to say, one, thank you for choosing us to help you during this emotional time? We know it's very stressful that you had a job, I don't know how much a roof costs these days, $15,000-$20,000 on a new roof. We know it's an emotional attachment. We know it's an emotional expense for you. Thank you for choosing us. And then maybe like a week after the job's done, sending them something. I tell home service-based companies all the time, add 50 to $100 onto your price. The client just paid for their own gift. If I added $100 to your roof, are you even going to know? Like, no. So, maybe not necessarily plumbing. It might be a little bit harder to add $100 onto it, depending on what the task may be. But now we're giving something because, we get it all the time, the rejection of, oh, well, we can't afford it. Well, sure. Just add $100, just add $50 to your job. Nobody's going to know.
That's
And now
good.
the
That's
client just
good.
paid for their own gift, but you just built that rapport with that client, that relationship. Now you're at loyalty to keep them around. That now they just told their friend or their cousin who was in the area who, same thing, they needed to do windows, and you do windows. And, a lawyer, someone who just, goes through this lawsuit or this divorce, thank you for hiring us. We know it's an emotional time. There's plenty of lawyers in the area that you could have picked. You picked us. And we appreciate you staying with us or us allowing us to help you through this difficult time. As just a show of our appreciation, here's a cookie tray. Some comfort food for you going through this. And we just wanted to show our appreciation for you selecting us to go through this emotional time with you. People aren't doing that.
No, it's true.
And I know it's easy for me to say because I'm the guy that gets those purchases, right? Because we do the promotional products. But, I mean, we work with people where we don't do the promotional products, right? We work with people where we are just the strategy behind it. And they have a local, cookie shop near them and they want to go do it. Okay, fine. We'll still build the strategy for you and work with you, for it. But so, and I say this to people like, yeah, I'm always adding costs, but again, just charge more. Just charge $100 more. Charge $50
Exactly,
more.
I like
charge
that.
$20 more, whatever the case may be. And you're gonna and it covers it. But showing that you care, and we had a law firm that did this, and it was crazy.
They were doing.
They are a family law firm dealing with custody and all that kind of stuff, which is again very emotional time. We had this conversation with a criminal attorney, and hey, well, we got to think about the strategy a little bit because you lose their case and they're not going to like you. But for these guys, same thing. Like it's an emotional time. And have a plan A and a plan B for something that goes right and you help them, save the custody of their child. Or, and then have something different that you lost. Or maybe you don't send something to the people you lost because it's not going to go over well. But again, like you had said it, tie into the emotion. That is the time, right? Like obviously, too, we're going in the summertime and, in Texas. We're not building hoodies, for a client in summertime in Texas. Like that's a wintertime. And even in Texas, like now we got to think of like the weight and all that kind of stuff because we don't want, super heavy weight that you would get in, the Northeast when it's 20 degrees. No. But, it's tying into that emotion and tying into the milestones and all those things. And physical touch points, and I want to hear I'm actually going to ask before I say it. Could physical touch points be triggered? I kind of already answered this. Be triggered like digital workflows? Because digital workflows are always kind of triggered by something. Can physical touch points do the same thing?
Yes, and all the time you were talking about that, like that triggers. I was in Brazil. In the hospitality. I went to like one of the in Rio de Janeiro, like I guess one of the top hotels, right? I went to all the top hotel, but let's say, like so there's like major, let's say Fairmont, big name, and there's one that's by itself, right? It's part of a bigger chain, but not well known, or maybe only in, let's say, in the high end, right? One of the things I realized when these guys they were doing it basically what you were saying here, that on that physical level, is when you get there, they hand you a package, right? And that package, as for you, and in this time of era of the world, that was just genius. You have in there something to write letters or to send postcards, but they postcard with letters in there, right? So you have some that are pre-written, right? Hello, I'm in, Rio de Janeiro, whatever, right? And then that you can actually send to your people, right? Kind of it's not a show off because I guess, it's one of that hotel that was magnifique, but and then you can send that. So that touch point, that physical touch point, that you send to your people. Imagine the genius behind that guy. Say, okay, he's gonna send that letter that comes, and that box is full of goodies, full of things. It's like but it is next level. Super. It looks luxurious, but not screaming it. Kind of your T-shirt.
Yeah,
Looks luxurious, but not
it's
screaming it.
showing that they care,
They care,
right?
right?
And I was just talking to a friend of mine about, a pet friendly resort, right? You come to a pet friendly resort and, people bring their dog or their cat or whatever the case may be because they want to travel and they want to bring, their companion with them. And you put a dog water bowl with your logo on it in the room. You're creating this. We're taking care of it. When a lot of companies like you're missing out on, like, no, you treat that dog like a VIP, like with, you find out what the dog's name is, like, and have a removable pillow or cover or something that goes around a pillow in a dog bed, and it's got their name on it, or it's got a treat, like, and you create them like and you treat them like they're a guest. That client, the actual human being that booked that place, is going to rave about you because you treated their pet like a guest and not as a pet. And for your case, right, you come into this hotel, and you get this welcome kit, this welcome box, this welcome, bag full of goodies and stuff to enjoy during your stay. And in there is a letter from the manager, handwritten, saying, you know, hey, Mr. Duplessy, thank you so much for coming in here and staying, with us. We really appreciate you choosing us of all people in the area. You could have stayed anywhere on this island. You could have stayed anywhere in this country, in this town, whatever the case may be. We appreciate you staying. Us, as a small appreciation, enjoy these good treats. And on the postcards, if they were smart, and I'm not saying that they aren't, they're thinking, right? But they could take it further. When you send this postcard, and it's got a coupon on it for that person now to come. And yeah, sure, maybe you keep it and you come back again. But guess what? You came back again to use that coupon that they're still making money on. And maybe that time then you send it to somebody who's like, all right, I've been here 5 times. I can't keep using these coupons. They're going to catch on. Like, but you're thinking about, like, how can we bring people to us? And resorts, I mean, they do it. And a lot of people are like, hey, just throwing candies in there. Have branded chocolate bars. Have, stuff that's different. Have a gift card to a local spot that this person has probably never been to, might not ever go to. Build a relationship with that restaurant. Hey, we're going to give these gift cards, these $25, $50, whatever that may be, depending on the scale of that restaurant, to somebody. And I think a lot of people get it wrong because they try to keep everything in house. Oh no, we're going to send them, make reservations to our restaurants to bring our money in. Well, but we got to be realistic about it.
Yeah. It's an ecosystem, right? It's an ecosystem. And the ecosystem, the master in the ecosystem knows that the first elevation has to come from the system. He's part of the system, so he's bringing himself up at the same time. Right? It's kind of the thing, And also, they were giving you these little lavender pouch that you can put in your luggage. When you go, because luggage for such reason. Sometimes, most of you, well, in that hotel, they were doing laundry every day for you. They just came and take your laundry. But, some people, they don't, you go and then, so they had these little lavender pouch that they're giving you in part of that package. And then people was, oh, well, lavender, that's nice. Well, and then they say, no, that's for your luggage. If you need more, you just tell us we need more. You put that in your luggage. So when you go back, and so imagine that smell when you go back home. And that lavender adds some special because the whole hotel smells a bit like I'm not sure the name in English, but anyways, a kind of a essential oil, lemongrass, right?
Okay.
lemongrass was kind of the smell. So it has some lemongrass, and so when you go back, that smells reminds you of the hotel, right? So it goes way further than that, right?
It's
Reminds you
you
of
know,
that.
and it's funny you just said that. So we just worked with a corporate client that did custom mouse pads for the office, and instead of just doing a custom mouse pad, right? We did them, but when we packaged them, we put an air freshener in it,
Oh,
branded as well, which was really for like, hey, we packaged this together. So when they opened it up, that mouse pad, I forget the scent off the top of my head, smelled nice, smelled, and now when they're using the mouse pad sitting at their desk, it's nice scented. Don't get me wrong, it made the whole office smell nice because there's the same scent of mouse pads across, it's a bunch of air fresheners. But now that, that employee can then go take that air freshener, put it in their car, and they're representing their brand. We've done it with, a local automotive company. They do air fresheners. Everybody that comes in for service gets an air freshener that has their brand on it, keeping their brand in front of people. Hey, not just we serviced you, but if you need something, hey, here we go. And they've also done little wheel lock bags. The wheel locks for your lug nuts in your car. Well, every car that comes in, they replace the lug nut, and make sure that it's in their branded bag.
well, that's
So that if you have to change it because your tire, went flat, it's putting them right there. Hey, oh, we need to get to this company. We need to get to this company. I want to end it here on one question here. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot for your moment. If a brand wants to stop guessing and start orchestrating how to best promote their brand using signals, what's the first step? What would you give? What would you tell businesses to be the first step?
well, the first step is really define what's the audience we want to resonate with. Right? What's the audience you want to resonate with, and how to work in a magnetic resonance state, i.e., we do not chase, we attract, right? And you kind of said that all through the podcast, and I like the way you framed that, right? And thank you very much, Kevin, for aligning with that. You kind of said that through the whole podcast. It's not about who's the loudest in the room. It's about, right? And most brands they want to be the loudest in the room, right? They want to be the loudest. But you said it before. Hey, I luxury brands selling things at $10 million a pop. You look at it, you kind of know it's expensive, but you're looking for the logo. The logo's not there, right? So the first thing is really define who you want to resonate with, and who are you gonna be, become that state, be in that state. So you won't chase you want chasing client. You want people to be attracted, and in order to be attracted, you gonna have to do your homework right for these people to instantly recognize, oh, this is me. This is exactly what me, like their internal, and then they'll be drawn to you, right? What does that mean in digital marketing and in marketing in the digital world, and in that bridge with the phygital, and where everything now becomes intertwined, if you want? It means that you can't sell, to everyone. You can sell to everyone. And even the word sell nowadays doesn't really mean that much. It's more about who you attract, right? And why you are attracting them. So if you focus on the why you are attracting them, you'll basically end up on the path to the pot of gold. That's my that's my
Yeah, yeah, and you said it's not really selling. The way I look at it is it's building trust. You're not selling anything, and I'm sure people have their own opinion about it. But in my opinion, what I tell people all the time is you're not selling anything. You're not selling a roof. You are building trust that you are the best solution. You are the best person to put this roof on. Selling a product, you are building trust that you are the best product for what the client is looking for. You're not selling them anything. Technically, yes, you are. We all understand that. You are building trust. Merch isn't just a product, it's a signal.
It's a signal, you
And
know.
the brands that win don't just send stuff, they read what comes back. And it's creating stuff that people want. And digital, it is drawing attention for people that want our services, that need our services. And seeing the responses, seeing the feedback that we get is now how we are able to make changes. Digital marketing runs so much off of data.
See,
So does physical marketing. Are people
yes.
liking this? And how you represent your company in every aspect is how people are going to view it. If you are getting cheap promotional products and you are doing cheap billboards and you're handing out cheap, bags, or you're running cheap ads, you're making yourself look cheap. If you're creating luxury billboards and selling luxury products and everything you hand out feels luxury, then you are promoting yourself as luxury. I just was outside talking to my neighbor about this, and we were, they're new neighbors, so we weren't really going into, we're just kind of meeting each other. He's like, "Is this something you make?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he was feeling it, and he's like, "That's something I would buy." He goes, "That's something I would buy for over $100 because it feels like it's worth over $100."
Yeah.
And I tell everybody, at our company, I was like, "Look, we want to promote everything that we're doing. As if you come to me asking for a pen, I'm going to charge you $1 million for the pen. And now when I tell you it only costs $250,000 for that pen, you're like, oh, really? Like, that's it?" But if I make it look like I'm selling $5 pens and I try to charge you $250,000 for this pen,
you got that.
you're going to laugh in my face.
Yeah, you got that.
Because I'm not trustable now.
Yeah,
and we live in a world, and especially, I'm sure you can relate to this, but I don't want to get too far into it, about trust. People don't trust because there's so many people that are trying to just say, "Oh yeah, we can do this, oh we can do it," but they're not promoting themselves. And if you can promote yourself in a way that feels luxury, feels trustable, that is how you're going to boost everything in marketing.
Yeah.
And because people buy off of trust.
Yeah,
Little Miss Susie, who needs a new driveway so she doesn't fall getting in and out of her car, she's picking not the biggest company. It might be, it might not be, but she's picking the one that she can trust. That they're going to show up, they're going to do what they say, they're going to do a good job, and they're going to get everything that she needs so that she can have whatever she needs. This case, my example, a new driveway.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you say. Like even a roof, like the roof is the best example, Like they're not buying a roof. They're buying basically that it's not gonna leak. It's not gonna fall on their head. Like trust is a big thing when somebody is doing a roof,
I'll
right?
tell you, I said it. I said that what I said to you here to a roofing company, and they didn't know how to respond to me. And I said, I said to them, I said, "Listen, anybody can build a roof. You or I can build a roof. Doesn't mean it ain't going to leak. Doesn't mean it's not going to collapse. But we could do it.
Exactly.
I could get up there and I could put a roof on my house if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's going to be a good quality roof. So you're not selling the roof. There's, 10, 15, 20, 30 roofing companies maybe in your area. You guys all do the same stuff. Why should we pick you? It's not because you have the lowest pricing. It's not because of this. It's because you are convincing them that you can trust them, that they can trust you the most. That you are the solution for their broken roof,
Yeah,
for their leaky
so
roof.
funny,
You are the
Kevin.
solution for their broken car.
That's so funny that you say that because we were working with roof company back in 2025, and one of the things they were getting bad review left and right. Okay, like even getting their Google account, Google My Business did what everything was wrong, right? And they're saying to me, "Oh, like ads are not working." Guys, trust is the first thing, You guys are getting bad review left and right. You guys are a 25-year-old company and you didn't solve that. I said, people are not buying a roof. I was saying that. They're buying trust. And your trust sales are inexistent, right? So they say,
Absolutely.
can I fix that? I could have a magic wand. I won't be able to fix that.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you had this conversation. We have it with people who us, like we tell people all the time, like we, you can trust us. And look, that doesn't mean anything to a client. Everybody's going to say, oh, you can trust us.
Yeah.
But our accounts are built off of relationships. I never build it off of transactions. I don't care. I say this again. Obviously I do. But I don't care about transactions. I care about relationships. Because at the end of the day, relationships build transactions. And you guys are in the same situation. It's building relationships with your clientele. Again, you're trying to have your clients trust you just as much as your clients are trying to have them trust somebody else. So everyone should buy their services.
Exactly.
But you have to do everything in your power to promote yourself. Like,
Exactly.
If you're a business owner talking trash on social media, stop now. And look, I was that guy.
Exactly.
I was there where I used to respond to things and I used to laugh at people's posts. And then it hit me and I'm like, they can do that to me. And it doesn't have to be true. And it's anyway, we could go on a whole nother time.
Yes, yeah. That's one of our service. Not gonna name it. One of the service people come to us. They say, hey, I'd like to be in contact with people. I'd like to sell product, but let's call it outreach, but it's not really that. And they call it outreach actually. They come to us and we'd like to do outreach. Well, they say, here's your problem, right? People. Nobody respond to outreach, but people respond if you want to build a relationship with them, though. If you go to them and say, you know what you say I resonate with, I'm at the same, we're on the same ground, and let's build a relationship. Talk to me more about that. At one point, they'll ask you what you do. I'm telling you that they'll ask you what you do, and at one point they say, you know what, we connect, we trust each other when we do business together, right? And it has been such a success, Kevin. I'm like, we even sometime I'm looking like the clients that are using our system coming to me and this guy sells things at $50 million a pop, right? So this is and that guy in 3 weeks came to me, say, hey bro, I have 6 lined up. I said, what? I said, say that again. He said, I have 6 projects lined up from your system at $50 million a pop. And he says, yeah. And also, by the way, now all the right people are contacting me now. No one else is contacting me. I said, well, here you go. He said, yeah, it's true. You need to build relationship first. It's all about relationship. Revenue, meetings, there are consequences of that, right?
Absolutely. It's all about building your network and building relationships. Well, Icare, I appreciate the time
Thank you very
today
much.
on hopping on the podcast and sharing your guys' expertise and insights. And it was a real nice pleasure having you on.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
You got it. Well, I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
That wraps up this episode of Beyond the Swag, Merch is Media. If this conversation made you think differently about how your brand shows up, that's the point. Because merch isn't just a product, it's a message and it's media. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who should hear it. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Kevin Patrick, and I'll see you on the next episode of Beyond the Swag.